This video is on the difference between somebody willing to go in and somebody not. When I went in to make a report to the Chapel Police Department, they blew me off, they blew me off, they blew me off, and then they blew me off and blew me off. There's a conversation between myself and Officer Cody Selhorst where I'm trying to explain to him what's going on. He cuts me off partway through, tells me he's not going to do anything, and tries to pacify me by buying me a sandwich while I'm distraught over the fact that police aren't willing to take my report. Officers continue to blow me off like that until Molly Smith, this woman is tiny. This woman is also a mother. This woman has also known me for years. She stood up for me, and she helped to organize for me to go in there and have those officers take a report, one that they should have taken at my grandmother's funeral, one that they should have taken before my grandmother's funeral, one that they should have taken a year earlier while Natalie was still alive, instead of blowing me off. When I said I needed somebody to go in with me so that the police would not do these things. These police did it in multiple states. The state of Nebraska, state of Colorado, and state of Virginia. It's about money. For me, not having an address prevents me from doing 90% of the things that these people are asking me to do. By these people, I mean the courts. And most of your suggestions are complete shit without an address. I had to do things that are unorthodox and illegal without the help of people like Molly Smith in these other states. See, Molly Smith went in with me in Nebraska. And something that those officers had refused to do on multiple occasions since my grandmother's death. One of those officers sat down with me to actually do that because Molly Smith was there. I can't thank Molly Smith enough. Now, I recorded it. The problem is that when I got my computer back after November of last year, I got my computer back, which is great, but a lot of those files were corrupted or missing. Why were those files corrupted? They weren't corrupted before I was locked up. That information that I was trying to show the police, they obviously knew it existed. They obviously knew exactly where to find it and what to do with it. Now, one thing that I noticed is that on the 9th of January of last year, the police got permission from a judge to go onto my Facebook. That opened up a lot. It made it so that people who I had previously blocked and people who had previously blocked me, all of a sudden I could take screenshots of our messages between each other. It also made it so that I could send them messages. I tried to send one message, something that was sent to me, about how Natalie was out partying with her boyfriend and was spotted at a gas station. Now, that turned out to be bogus, but that was sent out to a bunch of people who I was blocked from talking to because the police had opened that up. When Molly Smith went in with me, that was late June of last year. And the officer was Officer Hahn, H-A-H-N, of Chapel, Nebraska. The very same officer that I chased down for 30 minutes the very next day. Losing that phone was a major loss. There was a lot of evidence in there of a lot of my stories. That was the phone that I had when Natalie disappeared. It was the phone that I had at my grandmother's funeral. It was the phone that I had at Lana and Amanda's when they were pulling their bullshit. Now, Amanda, she's dumb as a fucking stump. She's a good mother, but she's dumb as a fucking stump. Now, the reason I say that she's a good mother is because this woman, she's done some things that are unorthodox and illegal to try to make sure that she could keep her children fed and keep a roof over their head. One of those things being prostitution. She should never have had to do that. Now, Molly Smith, she went to bat for me the way that nobody else would, because they were too afraid. Or the way that I was painted prevented them from wanting to, or being willing to. Molly Smith knew better. When Amanda Engeline got onto my YouTube just a few days ago, last week I guess, she typed a lot of the things that her and her mother had typed to me previously when I left Montana, the day I left Montana, matter of fact. So even though that evidence doesn't actually exist, because that phone that I lost, I got enough of that evidence back as a result of her typing for it to make a difference. To show what it is that I was saying is true. When I had to chase down Officer Hahn, there were lots of witnesses. I made sure there were lots of witnesses. See, by this point, I was aware that if I made a 911 call, that the cops were not going to do their jobs. They were going to fuck it up intentionally and say, oh, we're sorry. But they have to make a report if there's a 911 call. That's the reason I went from one end of town to the other, honking my horn, trying to force people to call 911, trying to force the police to do their jobs. Molly Smith went in with me, and Officer Hahn, for the first time since Natalie's death, an officer sat down with me to review the evidence of harassment by Ted Bollinger and his daughter at my grandmother's funeral. This is important. This goes to show that what I was saying about how the police would treat me if it was just me versus if someone went in with me is true. All these people saying, Sean, there's nothing I can do, there's nothing I can do, there's nothing I can do. There was something you could do. You could do as I asked you to. It would have made all the difference in the world if you had gone in with me like Molly Smith did. But it took a further 3 months or so after that for anyone to even offer to go in with me. With Miss Peaches, we kept on getting excuse after excuse. Oh, well, you have to set up an appointment. Well, I'd heard that excuse before, and I explained that to Miss Peaches. But she's like, well, we're going to go in anyway. I said, all right. So we went in anyway. And we went to the station there. It's actually a fire station. The State Patrol office in Boulder is. So we went and we rang the doorbell, or the little buzzer. They told us we needed to make an appointment. So from there on in, I was trying to get Miss Peaches to let me know what her schedule was so that I could schedule an appointment with them. Miss Peaches was not able to tell me her schedule. She said, just make the appointment. Well, I need to make the appointment for when somebody can go in with me. That became a giant pain in the ass. They gave me a bunch of bullshit, which turned out not to be true. Now, although Alyssa Rainwater verified that the police would do it the way that they did it, the fact is it's also illegal for them to do that way. If someone is a victim of a crime, the police need to take a report. Now, there's a lot of stuff with Mandy Hughes, that's Alyssa Rainwater's mother, that I find really confusing. Like the fact that she had warrants, but was able to make a report, but she wasn't able to make one for me. They refused to allow her to do that. Also, the fact that they didn't arrest her on her warrants when she went into the Adams County Police Department. Now, her daughter, Alyssa, was a 911 operator the night that Natalie disappeared. Alyssa was saying that there's no way that I could have done it. Obviously, I didn't. I tried to get someone to take a look at the threats that were against my life. I mean, the shit that was happening on the internet was bad enough. The stuff I was dealing with in real life was even worse. I don't do well without a safety network. Most of the time, my safety network is just a friend in person. That's what Natalie was when I didn't have any. I had Christian Bort used to come in and talk craziness to me. And the stuff that happened to me after Natalie's death with the druggings by the police and the hospitals. There was another man named Sam. Sam used to be, well, highly intelligent. Him and a guy named Bodie, we called him Black Bodie. And a few others, like Crystal Beauchamp. These people all had evidence against the Boulder Police Department in their wrongdoing. They take them to Fort Logan, places like that, and they come back crazy. That's what the chemical restraints do. These dangerous drugs don't belong in the human body. Ketamine does not belong in the human body. So, Black Bodie, when he came back, he was nuttier than fucking squirrel turds. Sam, he was straight. He was into women. Not saying that becoming a cross-dresser is a bad thing, but the fact is that he hurt his back. Same thing I went through later on. He was not able to escape the Boulder police and their harassment. And when he tried to turn them in for their harassment against him, the fact that he was so incredibly disabled and distraught over the Boulder police and their harassment, they hauled him off to a loony bin. They gave him that chemical injection. They call it chemical restraint. The same thing that they did to Michelle Rodriguez. Well, when Sam came back, he was wearing a tube top and a skirt and talking schizophrenic like Christian Bort. So Sam usually sat 2 chairs down from me in the Starbucks. I listened to him talking crazy almost every day. And then Christian Bort came in and talked crazy to me. Sam barely recognized me. If I'd have had somebody willing to go in with me to the police, they'd never been able to do the things that they did. But I had to deal with people who have bad assumptions, people who have never been homeless. There's a difference between living in this vehicle in a public lot and living in an RV on your friend's property in Chapel, Nebraska. A big difference. Because even though they're both private property, the cops will make excuses to harass me here. The cops didn't make any excuses to harass Lana and Amanda. None. They left Lana and Amanda alone. Sammy and Shelley's house there in Chapel, Nebraska, that used to be Rand Ingersoll's mother's house. And throughout the years, it passed a lot of hands. By the time I got a hold of it because Sammy and Shelley and Lana and Amanda couldn't afford to move to Montana unless someone took their house, and nobody was going to buy their fucking house. It was shit. I told them I didn't have the money, I couldn't do it. And it was an animal rescue. Gamma, give them a home. I'd been volunteering there for about 2 years, helping out Lana and Amanda. And, Lana and Amanda promised me that they would send me money for the dogs, for dog food, for their shots, things like that. They never did, though. Not once. I agreed to take that house off their hands because if Lana and Amanda had sent the money that they promised, I would have been able to afford that place. I got a job at the American in Sydney with Rick Martindale. And while Rick was busy driving around smoking weed all day, I was doing the hotel work. A woman named Michelle Bohach. She was the head housekeeper. She can verify this. Rick Martindale isn't a bad person. He's just lazy. He went to Colorado University in Boulder, too. He come from a good family. Came from a family of money. He met his wife at the Grizzly Rose in Denver. Why do I remember these things about these people? Because I absolutely love them. They don't understand the life, though. The difference between the police in Colorado taking my report and recording it and doing what it is that they did is somebody going in with me. The police won't take a report from somebody with warrants, huh? Well, they took it from Mandy Hughes. Was Mandy Hughes lying to me? Was she playing head games? Was she working with the police there? I don't know. I don't care. I like Mandy. She came to see me in person. I've met 2 of her 3 daughters. I love all of them. Me on the internet is completely different from me in real life. Anybody who knows me in real life can tell you this. I've collected a lot of stories from other people that verify the things that I've been saying are true. From the police trafficking human beings in Boulder, Colorado, to police America-wide taking part in the harassment and the victimization of the most victimized people in America, the American homeless. See, nobody cares about the homeless until they're homeless, and by then, of course, it's too late. I believe in doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to expose all of this. When I couldn't afford the house in Chapel, Nebraska, I let Sammy and Shelly Gatewood know. They asked me to live in the house because if nobody's living in it, then it's going to fall apart pretty rapidly, and it has. The ceiling in the living room has fallen in. People have raided the house for whatever they thought was worth money. They broke everything in it, stole all the light bulbs. Basically, it became a meth hangout. A lot of these people, they have families that they work together with. They don't understand what it's like not to have a family that does that. My dad, he ignored everything that happened to me since Virginia. And then when he finally answered his phone, after it was already too late to get my disability back, it was already too late to get somebody to go in with me to make a report. It was already too late for all of these things that I needed his help with. The least he could have done is taken a look at it. He didn't care to. I care that the right thing is done. I don't care if all of these people throw me away. It's their lives I'm after now. The betterment of their lives. To make sure that if they end up homeless, that they're not treated the way that I was, or the way that Sam was, or the way that Black Bodie was, or the way that Crystal Beauchamp was. There needs to be more people like Molly Smith. These professionals who are supposed to help me, how you guys keep telling me you need to go get these people and those people. Well, I talked to those people. They're not willing to stand up to the police. Molly Smith was willing to go in with me to at least see that the truth was done. When I left Colorado, fled Colorado, it was because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to fulfill their obligations. Everything that I would have required in order to fulfill their obligations was taken from me. And there's a very limited amount of time left for me to gather the evidence of the wrongdoing by these police officers. In order to gather that evidence, I would have to be out of jail, because it's obvious the public pretenders aren't going to do a goddamn thing about it. They're not going to try to get it. The tricks that they use to prevent people like me, honest people, from having an honest day in court, from being able to stand up to our oppressors or stand up to our predators. These things are taught. They're taught in police academies. Why are they taught in police academies? Well, to keep them from getting sued. They literally take a course to learn how to not get sued. That includes who they can victimize that nobody cares about, to fill their quotas, to enhance their station. Victimize the homeless. Victimize minorities. Those are the people you can get away with. First on their priority list is minority homeless. Second is the homeless. Minorities that are not homeless, they try to stay away from. They don't want to get sued. They don't want Black Lives Matter or the NAACP coming after them. The NAACP doesn't give a holy fucking goddamn about black people if they're homeless. doesn't give a holy fuck about the homeless. They used to. There's laws that are supposed to prevent these officers from doing exactly what it is that they did. Of course, if nobody cares, they can break the law all they want. That's where public bias comes in. We have all these numbers that are doctored up against the homeless. How do they do that? Well, they get easy convictions by preventing these homeless people from having an honest day in court, by keeping them locked up on bogus charges or bullshit charges until they ultimately give up. They take a plea deal. And then they get to say, see, look at all the terrible shit that the homeless do. No, it's the terrible shit that the cops do. The terrible shit that the public pretenders do. Fuck this system. And if you support it, fuck you.